Welcome back to the Clique Podcast. I'm your host, Zain, and today we are talking about what happens when your career isn't just a paycheck. It's a compulsion to make the world better. We are looking at the world of sustainable design and build. It is a messy, complicated, and difficult field, but for our guest, it's the only way to work. We are going to find out what it takes to have a dictionary that doesn't contain the words "I don't know," and how the principles of green life can actually help you design a better life. Let's welcome into the studio, Henry. Hi, Henry. So could you share a little bit more on how you are not only a sales and transformation growth veteran, but also a coatings expert and an aspiring speaker and coach?
For the last 16 years, I was working in a coatings company, a really large coatings company actually. So what we do over there is that we sell paint to protect, beautify houses. And during that period of time, I was given an opportunity to look into how that we could do it very responsibly and as well very actively trying to protect the environment. I saw things that were good, I saw things that were bad. And that prompted me to look into a career of sustainability because I think everyone has a responsibility. And you have a responsibility to make things better. Reimagine a future whereby you can be different, that you have an impact in the environment that's positive.
So could you share a little bit more about what you actually do and how it aligns with your beliefs?
So right now, what I try to do is that I try to influence companies, show them the clarity as well as the direction that we can do, take up the journey of sustainability and make it a part of their business, a part of their way they operate in their world. If this is possible, the world will be a lot better every single day. We see a future everyone can really admire. When I was doing gaming, I was one of the few people in the console business. I was selling PlayStation and then later I went into the Xbox. But what really made me understand one thing about sustainability is the same concept, stakeholders. When we talk about stakeholders, we talk about the people that play the games, right? And same thing, the people that inherit our environment. You got to think about what they want and what they can handle and what they can manage. At the same time, there must be something that they like. So I think the same values that I had for sustainability were carried over into gaming. I felt that gamers deserve to have the kind of environment that they enjoyed, the gaming, the kind of language and the medium. And when it was a console gaming, when it first came out, we found that there was a lot of difference. The people were selling things what they wanted, but not what the customers wanted. In today's world, same thing for sustainability. We have to look for solutions that fit the people that are in this planet, the stakeholders, the customers, the businesses, the communities, so that this can be enduring.
It's very interesting because after the gaming industry, you went into, I think, electronics and paint. And you actually spent about 15 years in the paint industry. So maybe you could share a little bit more about what you were going through during that time and how it actually impacted you.
During those 15 to 16 years that I had, one of the biggest things was that I had opportunities to operate in different countries. And in different countries, we have responsibilities, but sometimes we have to face up to the reality. Not every country is ready, to come up with sustainable solutions. And then that thing really made me think, when you have the power, you have what you have to respect what people want. You have a responsibility. And then you have to think of a way to reinvent or reimagine solutions. And that's always been missing from a lot of people who are undertake the journey of sustainability. It's not a fad. It's not something that you start off. It's something that has to endure because it makes us look into the future and see there is a future, as a long-term future, of course.
So since you have such a wealth of experience working in so many different careers, could you share a little bit more about the difficult moments and how you were actually able to overcome them?
The difficult moments. I would say most of the time, the difficult moments are always dealing with balancing the needs of people and the needs of business. Everybody has different things that they want. So when you come inside, there's a compromise you have. But when you do compromise, there's always this very important concept that you need to think about. You need to think about what are you doing to achieve your end goal. So you can compromise certain things, but you have to balance. You tip too much to one side, one party is happy, and the other party is not. Most of the time, my time of career, I had to balance. And that sometimes creates issues with my values. And that's what I had it difficult.
So, Henry, working in corporate for so many years, do you actually suffer from any burnout? And if so, how did you cope with it?
Okay, I wouldn't say that life is not without setbacks. Burnout is an outcome of that setback. So there were times that I felt discouraged and I felt that demotivated, or even it might be a slap in the face, not literally. So how do I manage those kinds of situations? I would say the first thing you do, write down what you wanted to do, close it, take a day off, take some time off, go and visit the most positive people that you know around you, and then come back and face the problem. Come up with solutions that you have to make to solve your problem. You have a responsibility. You can't run away from your setbacks. No, even if it fails, make it work. Even if you can't, get people to help you.
So to you, it's about listing them down very, very clearly.
Yes.
So that you know what you're dealing with.
Correct.
And then take some time off to distance yourself away from it and associate yourself with positivity.
Yes, of course. Positivity is extremely important. I think burnout is mostly coming from an emotional situation or emotional outcome that you have. So I would advise a lot of people who feel that near there, find help. It's nothing is wrong for looking for help, but everything is wrong when you're ignorant.
Right. So again, positivity is contagious, right? Like
Yes.
they all say.
And I was in Myanmar for a painting project.
Is that Yangon?
Yeah,
or
yes, in Yangon,
Yangon.
actually. We were near the Irrawaddy River.
River?
Yes. And right across the Irrawaddy River, I saw a barge. Now, I was on top of the building. I was looking out. This barge, there was this man that was painting his barge. His idea of painting, was just to pour paint over the barge and just roll over in front of it. Now, in most circumstances in Singapore or in other developed places, I'm not saying that it's not practiced over there, this person didn't do it in a dry dock. He did it in an environment whereby the paint flowed all the way into the river. What was most distressing for me was not only that it flowed into the waterway, just about less than 50 meters away were some children playing in the water, oblivious to the fact that the paint itself may have some harmful effects onto their bodies. They were ignorant. And when I looked at that, it made me think that if I was providing the paint for them, I have to educate them. But they were not educated.
Yep.
They were not thinking. They thought that this was a way of life. This is the kind of responsibility I felt that if I had the power to educate them, to tell them the right way to do it, I would. There I was on top of a building, looking afar, just looking at something as if I'm not a part of it. But I am a part of it because I know the harmful effects. That's a responsibility no one should really escape from.
Okay. It really stands for education because
Yes.
like you mentioned, I don't think the guy was even aware that what he was doing was wrong.
Yeah, he wasn't even aware, and he should be wearing protective equipment. His idea of protective equipment was a handkerchief right over his mouth. No mask, no nothing.
And the worst case is on top of children playing, there could be people drinking the water, washing clothes with the water and all that.
I wouldn't drink from the water, but you know what the best part is? They feed their livestock with the water.
So, I mean, that leads to a whole host of other problems, I'm sure. Right? Yeah. So when did you actually realize that this sustainability field was your calling in life, was what you wanted to pursue?
As I mentioned, I start to see more and more cases similar to Myanmar in different countries, and sometimes even in Singapore. I realized that we have a responsibility when we have power to resources, like in this case, like paint and so forth, and maybe someone else has other kinds of resources. You can't turn a blind eye to what you have as a responsibility. And this responsibility would extend to the generations to the future. You might not be here now, but after a few years, but maybe for me, 20 years or so. But for most of you who are watching, you're going to be here to inherit all the problems that we ignore. I think that's not really fair. So I hope that, because of this, I went into sustainability. I wanted people to understand this is something that you need to look at now. You can't run away from it. We're all staying in one planet.
There's no escaping.
There's
you
no
only run
escaping
for
at
so
all.
long, right?
Seriously.
Yeah. Now, you yourself, you balance speaking, coaching, sales, business, and now sustainability. So how do you actually juggle all these different aspects?
Well, what I try to do is I try to integrate what I believe with sustainability. It means simply, in very plain terms, continuing everything you're doing without sacrificing a future. That means what you're doing can be continued. You're not overusing things. You're not causing a problem. So you start with a goal in mind and an end in mind. So whatever you use, you have to think about how you're going to dispose it. So the same thing with my time. If I know that I don't have more than 48 hours a day, we have 24, right? For example, in this case, we start to timestamp ourselves, and then we block out certain time that we want to do certain things. If health is very important to you, make sure you spend that amount of time. If family is important to you, spend that kind of amount of time. I think there is no such thing that you can create more time, but you can portion out the time that you want to focus on,
Allocate it more wisely.
allocate it wisely. That's one way to start.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting, I think, So, how do you think the rise of AI actually aligns with sustainability?
It's a big question, actually. It's a question everybody asking, how is AI going to affect our lives? And I think AI is something that can be avoided. It's going to come. It's going to pass us by. It's going to be a part of our lives. So as a result, sustainability has to learn to work with AI. Some people say that when you use more of AI, you use more resources. But here's the question. If you know you can't avoid using those resources, what do? You make the best of those resources. So for me, AI has helped me, do my research better, make my work faster. At the same time, it has asked me to create more options easily that I can think of to help with any sort of AI plans or ideas that I can present to people. It helps me with my communication. So for all those who are thinking, technology isn't bad, it is an enabler. AI will help amplify your productivity. And really, one of the best things about sustainability, the practices, is to use your resources wisely, optimally.
Right.
So use AI properly and wisely.
Optimize it, right?
Yes, optimize it.
Right. Do you have any advice for people wanting to join the industry of sustainability? Because as we all know, I don't think it's very popular or it's a very sexy concept, I'm in sustainability. So maybe for our younger viewers out there, if they are actually, if whatever you're saying, they actually resonate with them, how do they actually take the first step to join the industry or be a part of a bigger movement?
Well, as you said, you term the thing movement. And this is one thing that today's youth, have this advantage. They have an accessibility. They have an accessibility to knowledge, to social media. They can reach out to many people and unite together just for a movement. But the important thing for those who want to do in the sustainability field, they have to think about what do they want to focus on. Yes, I can tell you that tomorrow I want to be a superhero of the planet, but no, who am I going to save? What am I going to do? Captain Planet, that was an old cartoon for those who still remember. Okay, so the idea is, what are you going to focus on? And then next is think about if this can carry on to a career, or this can carry on to something that will help you with your life. I always feel that for people to carry on anything long-term, and sustainability is a long-term thing, you have to think about how it helps you. If it helps you, then you probably want to maintain it. And then you have to think about, if you don't do it, what's the outcome? It's a pain point, that means you avoid it. And if it's something successful, how it helps you, I'm sure this will be a habit, this will be a journey that you'll continue for a long time.
That sounds great. So what are some of the careers that are more commonly associated with sustainability, and how do you actually get into them?
I think they are probably in Singapore. Let's talk about Singapore context. It's easier. A lot of people say Singapore is a red dot, too small to give any sort of impact. But there are ways that we can look at it as a city-state. The first thing we look at is that we can be a forefront of the processes and standards. So we're talking about things like certification, things like auditing and so forth. Singapore has set that kind of leadership to show people how it's done. Whether if you're using the ESG accreditation, would you want to be an expert in that? That's one. The second thing that you can consider is some of the more acute industries that can affect a city-state, a small city-state. Because from a small city-state, you can actually scale up. So we're talking about management of resources and waste. And resources, we talk about a lot of things. Singapore, land, power, water, and then everything that we use, the waste that we come out tends to affect each one of the other criteria that we mentioned. So that's 2. And then 3, you're going to consider another kind of journey that is able to influence people.
Okay.
And it could be on social media, could be the way I speak right now. I hope my message has reached out to some people. And the last one is money. Singapore is a money hub. So there are ways that we know that if we want to save the world, money has to be spent. You can't ask the farmer to farm lesser crops because he needs the crops to sell to get money. But is there a more efficient way to do it? Using renewable energy, using less pesticides, without clearing out half the farm by burning, things like that. So all these things can be thought of, but they need money. So Singapore can be that financial hub for people who want to look for financial support to do sustainability activity. So that's the basic four that I can think of for now.
Perfect. So in your expert opinion, which direction do you think our government should look towards for sustainability?
Well, I think, as I say, we're a city-state, so usage of resources, management of waste, and energy, these are the three things that they look for. But of course, let's not forget the financial support. So these are ways that we can look into as a small city-state, asking the government to accelerate its efforts on. And I think there are some plans being put in, but the only issue I seem to see is that the plans are not done fast enough because every day the world is getting hotter and storms are getting
More
bigger.
volatile?
Yeah, that's right. So in some ways, we have to act soon. And with the kind of urgency, I'm asking people and the government, show us your plan, show us your idea, and be transparent about it. Let's talk about it. And then, maybe more hits, more ideas will help each other move forward.
Definitely, which is the end goal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you can share a little bit more about your company, what you actually do, and if there's anything that you want to tell our viewers out there.
Okay, my company now looks into giving clarity and direction to organizations, people, and this year I'm focusing on mid-sized companies, giving them an idea of how to start their sustainability journey, and then helping them form the journey so that they can be ready when sustainability becomes an important part of the business, which is coming very soon. In 2030, we are supposed to have achieved our net zero. 2030 is actually 4 years away. But if you don't start doing something, you miss out on a few things. The net zero thing comes with a carbon tax. So for companies, you'll be missing three opportunities. One, firstly, opportunity to sell to companies, big companies, which may MNCs and so forth, which think that the sustainability or ESG standards are very important. Two is that you don't forget the chance to differentiate yourself as the company that can apply this kind of alignment and strategy. And three, you will miss out on your customers. Customers out there every day, I'm sure they're going to say, hey, what are we doing to save the planet? These are things that they would ask. And then if they think that you're not doing it, will they trust you as a company? They think that you're probably just after my money and not after my well-being.
Profit-driven.
Yeah, profit-driven. And that's the worst thing the company needs to be. Most customers, I would say all, would think that once you can't be trusted, you are just out for yourself, they will move away from your brand, they will move away from your business, and there you got it. You get yourself into a situation that you don't want to be in.
So you are more of a B2B and you're helping businesses achieve sustainability.
Yes. But at the same time, I have my personal passions. I don't deny that I like reaching out to people who talk about sustainability. I like to reach out to communities and help them with their journey. And I like to meet people who have the same mindset so that we can start to carry on this journey, bolster it, create a better community here, people who want to see the planet go on.
That sounds amazing, actually. It's all for a good cause. So right now I noticed that you have brought in some products that you have. So would you like to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. Now, this is a phone holder, okay? But you can see it's made of wood, right?
Right.
But did you know that this phone holder is made up of something that we use every day?
Wow. Okay.
This is recycled from chopsticks.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's pretty hard to believe that this can be made entirely from this.
Yes.
So how does this become this?
Well, to the start, if you think about it, chopsticks, wood, right? And wood can be made into a composite material with a certain kind of glue. But to do that, you got to go through a whole process. Firstly, you got to collect all the chopsticks from the restaurants, And all these restaurants will have to give you the chopsticks in a very orderly fashion. You have to bring them back, clean them, and then you have to treat them, and then make them into a raw material they can use for making phone cases, furniture. And I know there's a company right now in Singapore as well as in Malaysia that's doing this. So for those who are interested, come
For sure.
ask me. Maybe.
Details will be in the description.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, if you could leave our viewers with just one strong message, what would it be?
I would say this to a lot of people. Sustainability is a calling for everyone. We have only one planet. Like that one little room, just imagine, for example. And if everybody's going to be using that room, we're going to make sure that room, your home, is safe, is clean, is good enough to live in. Don't mess it up. We can all do a little bit of our part. We can do better. It's up to you. It's up to me. And don't forget it.
So, Henry, what are some of the challenges that Singapore is facing in terms of sustainability?
Well, Singapore is definitely facing challenges of our own. Being a small state, we have few problems: space. And that makes recycling, for example, one of the most important processes of sustainability, very challenging. When you have no space, you can't really separate out the waste. I know there are countries like Taiwan, and Hong Kong or Japan, they say, oh, they recycle everything. But to do that, you have to separate out the trash. And to separate the trash of Singapore, you need a really large space. To give you an idea, just a HDB flat, it takes you only less than a minute to fill it up with all trash. Less than a minute. That's how fast trash is being filled up. And then if you don't clear it, and when you clear it, you need to separate out the wood, the organic, the metal, and even the plastic. Yeah, so all these has to be done by somebody. So you can't really do it that well in Singapore because there's simply no space. In the end, what do? We tend to incinerate everything as much as possible and then throw it to Semakau. Yeah, it's not really fair to Singapore, but I think Singapore can do something about it. But the thing is that we have to start thinking of maybe there are solutions that we can do by working with our neighbors who have more space, if they allow us. That's just an idea.
Okay, so Henry, I see that you're using a glass bottle. Could you just share a little bit more about the story behind it?
Oh yes, glass bottle. Let me show you how the glass bottle looks like.
Okay.
This is the glass bottle. So for most people, they want to have water, it has something that you carry around with, extra water. They'll use a plastic bottle. But I felt that glass is a more responsible way. I got this from Malaysia in a store. Then they were selling milk with this just like the normal old days people would sell milk. I found that they could sell you the bottle and as well as the milk inside for about 5 ringgit. So I thought it's a great idea. Get a glass bottle. At the same time, I would stop using plastic bottles, those single ones, and it's a lot healthier. There's no plastic leaching, and the most important of all, it always looks nice when I see a glass. The water's cleaner. It looks great. Yeah, it's aesthetic.
Right. And also, you have a very interesting pair of sunglasses. Maybe you can share a little bit more about this as well.
Yeah. Okay, this pair of sunglasses, okay, the plastic that you see over here is made from recycled plastic. But the thing amazing about this is that the recycled plastic is from the sea, the trash that people throw. So it's called ocean-bound plastic recycling. So this plastic that you see is recycled and collected by a Malaysian company. Okay, they're situated in JB. And the fantastic thing is that they collected this plastic from trash that washed up on the shores of Tioman.
Oh.
Yeah. So the idea is reduce, reuse, recycle.
Every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts. Mm.
So a recent hot topic that we have is microplastics. So what is your take on it personally?
Wow. Okay, microplastics. Here is the thing. When talk about microplastics, it's everywhere. And it does affect us. So I think maybe for 30, 40 years, this has always been there. And it's starting to affect the ecosystem, starting to affect humans drastically. I would like to say that it affects our health, it affects animals, it affects the planet. We are adapting. For good or bad, I can't really say that this is a good thing. But when we are so-called adapting to it, people will suffer, animals will suffer, the ecosystem will suffer. So how will we adapt to the situation when the thing is normal? Today, microplastics are found everywhere. The average human being is supposed to have consumed close to 7 credit cards worth of plastic, usually in a week. So I would say microplastics are undeniable, and we are loading it up every single day with the things we use. And we tend to ignore the question because we don't think we have an answer for it. But here's what my thought is. If you are worried about microplastics, do things to avoid ingesting microplastics. It comes everywhere. Do your own research. Do your own thinking. It can help you. It can help make your health a bit better. But most important, it will help everybody on the planet. But of course, it will be good that when you ask this kind of thing, what angle do people want to know? So it always drives back to us. Because for people like us, we have the knowledge, but we don't know what people want to hear sometimes. So it could be something interesting, like if you ask me, say, how does microplastic affect you? And the truth is this, it does affect, but I don't want to go too much into the horror. Because when I go too much into the horror, people don't get a good feeling out.
Yeah.
I want to give people the hope that it can be done. And the truth is that it's been around for 20 over years. And already babies are growing up with microplastics, and we are adapting to it.
Microplastics is unavoidable.
It's unavoidable.
And like you know it's there, the problem is there, but what can you actually do? I feel like you don't eat at all, don't use any, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like say you
I
tap
feel-
out every day got plastic. on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, unless you want to starve or do to the best of your ability, maybe, I guess.
Whether it's good for bad, I don't know. Yeah, it's like the same thing if I say his generation grew up with social media. My generation didn't. And then that's the truth. For us to reach out to people, as a phone call, it's a written letter, everything like that. For them, reaching out just a text. So it's so convenient. It has changed the way the world communicates. The young generation now can actually mobilize very fast.
Yeah.
Listen to yourself, because there's only that much that I can tell you to do if you cannot do. Or like use your own utensils. Don't go and get the food court then and do the thing, stuff like that. So but then
It's just not convenient.
yeah, it's for convenience. So instead of telling people what to do, just do whatever you can do and do more of it if you think it's beneficial to you. That should always be the case now for people who are undertaking the journey of sustainability. Because the first problem of inaction is when you think, I don't know, too difficult,
Everything is okay.
everything is okay even I don't do.
Yeah.
So as a result, I ignore.
It actually brings me to my next question. Where do you actually see Singapore's recycling situation in like the next 5 years?
I see that in the next 5 years, Singapore has to do 3 things. They have to reduce their trash, because you keep generating and there's someone taking out trash all the time. It's always taxing. It's like you're asking your maid, the Singapore context, to please clean the room every hour. Is that even sustainable?
It's never ending.
It's never ending. And then what you can always do is that maybe you get, make sure you close the windows and don't have the wind blowing all the dust all the time. Be more aware that you're not eating all your breadcrumbs all along the floor. So same thing. The Singapore wants to really reduce its recycling. It must start reducing its trash. One way in Singapore context is how about using the single-use plastic that we talk about? That once that you go to, the supermarkets to use, maybe you can start reducing that. Some countries have tried charging the single-use plastic. It seemed to work. Lesser plastic, lesser issues. One plastic, if recycle it, throw it into say normal trash and not burn it, just in the environment, takes 20 years to degenerate. No. And then if you want to burn it, it creates toxic gases, which you have to filter it at the recycling plants. Again, why not just use less plastic bags?
You mentioned that a lot of our trash is disposed via incineration. So how do we actually deal with the potential air pollution effects that could come with it?
I think that technology is getting better all the time. So what they have done is that they start to filter it. They filter it, they keep the trash, or they say the toxic material, in this case, into bare minimum. But the truth is, why do you have to keep things to a bare minimum? Why not just reduce trash in the first place? So a lot of people saying that, I can't reduce the trash and so forth. But let's look at a few things. We're talking about single plastic just now. Let's talk about packaging. Everything we buy, how much packaging do you see? The outside packaging, the inside packaging, the internal packaging. And there are probably 3 layers just to give a sense of satisfaction for the customer. And then there's that outer the packaging. What the last one is the plastic bag you carry in. The nice ones that you see people parading in the shopping malls. Maybe that's not really necessary, right?
So, what other advice do you have for Singaporeans to actually reduce the amount of trash they have?
Okay, I would say let's start with things that you can do every day, simple ones. The first thing is this: get a reusable bag, the kind that you say the woven bags that can replace your single-use plastic. Two, think about using your energy wisely, and sometimes setting the air condition higher, not lower. That means it could be warmer, but instill a fan that gives you circulation. It gives the same effect, less energy used. And third, when there's no one in the room, no one's using any electrical appliance, switch off the power. Simple things. Yeah.
Little things add up.
Little
right?
things add up.
Yeah.
Yes. Small actions, shared future.
Okay, we're going to go into the rapid fire section right now. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions and you just need to answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Not too much of thinking, okay? All right, first one. One sentence that sums yourself up.
Sums yourself one sentence. Okay. I'm a person that believes sustainability is a way of life.
Does money bring you happiness?
Money is a tool to happiness.
Share an interesting worldview that you have.
The world can do better, but it's just ignore some basic needs.
If you only had one day left on Earth, what will you do?
I'll spend it with my loved ones and write a list of items of what people can do if I'm not around.
What games do you play?
Games. Well, I tend to play games that require thinking, but sometimes if I'm retired, I would just play something that's fun, engaging, fast-paced.
What do you think the world will look like in 10 years?
The world. I think the world will have a greater integration of technology and people will start feeling that pressure from technology.
Have you met anyone that changed your life?
I meet people every day that have an influence on my life, just like you, everybody else. They share things with me that make me think and then question whether I need to adapt to those new things that I know now, the changes.
What's your favorite book of all time?
Favorite book of all time? I don't really have a favorite book, but there's one book that has been occupying my mind a little bit recently. Is Atomic Habits by James Clear, who believes that habits can make changes and our planet needs more positive habits.
Any quotes that you live by?
Quotes. Well, wow. Yeah, sure. I may not remember the full quote, but I always like Albert Einstein's idea that he says that the same problems of the world are created by the same ideas that you have. It's not the real quote, but it's similar. I can't remember the fit. The main thing is that you can't solve the world's problems by thinking the same way. You have to think out of the box. And that's always been my way of tackling things when people approach me and say, hey, I can't do this. Maybe you're thinking it the same. Think differently.
A huge thank you to Henry for joining us today. It is truly refreshing to speak with a leader in sustainable design and build who sees every problem as an opportunity in disguise. Henry operates with a dictionary that has deleted the words, I don't know, replacing them with an unshakable drive to find the answer. The freedom to make some contribution, make some changes in sustainability. This is actually everyone's calling in some ways. You don't have to do a lot. Just do a little bit more than what you did yesterday, and that makes a difference. He shows us that sustainability isn't just a construction method. It is a way of living, thinking, and helping others. For more on Henry's projects, head over to our website. Until next time, keep building a better future.